Namaste, guys. Christian, our long life enhancement consultant, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning, or Monday morning, or whenever you're watching this. And I'm not going to spoil the surprise as to where I am. I mean, you could guess, you could wonder, you could trust in your psychic abilities, your higher clairvoyance. I don't know. Amara, namaste, welcome. So, for those of you who've been following anything, Rashmi, namaste, for following anything that we've been doing, beef, for the past few days, or the past week, I just got back from Florida. Alex, namaste, which I spent a week in Florida. Beja, namaste, a week in Florida, seeing my mom, and then seeing my son, who I hadn't seen in almost 4 years. So we almost never talked, we never Skyped. We only talked once on the phone and twice over Skype in 4 years. So it was a beautiful reunion of father and son coming together, sharing together, reconnecting with each other, having stories with one another, and I realized how funny my son actually is. Sharon, Atma Namaste. Paula, Atma Namaste. So my body is acclimating and readjusting to all the stuff that's been going on this past week. Adriana, Atma Namaste. And so I was thinking of today's topic. Karen, Atma Namaste. What you don't know. Hey, Alex. Sunday fun day. How are you, dear? And so I was thinking to myself, a good topic that we could talk about. You guys heard me do it 2 weeks ago. We talked about the Landmark Forum. And the Landmark Forum is a personal development course that came out in the 70s, known as EST, Earhart Seminar Training, and then it metamorphosized into the Landmark Forum in the early 90s. And then it's been Landmark Education ever since. And one of the tenets or principles that they teach in class is they draw a circle on the board, right? They draw a big circle on like a chalkboard or a whiteboard, and they say, they carve out a little sliver, and they say 10%, and they carve out another little sliver, and they say 10%, and then the rest of it is 80%. And they say this 10% is what you know, right? So you know your name, you know your address, you know what you do for work, you know how much you have in your bank account. It's the things that you know, right? That's that 10% sliver in the pie. The other 10% sliver is what you know you don't know, meaning you know you don't know a lot about quantum physics, or you know you don't know a lot about mechanics, or you know you don't know about all the capital cities in a certain country, right? You know you don't know. And then the 80% is what you don't know you don't know. And that's where the realm of breakthrough and possibility and transformation lies, is in the 80% of what you know is what you don't know, right? So to look at it in the sense of the chakra system, the energy body, most people have no idea that they don't know about chakras, and that they don't know about their aura, and they don't know about meridians, right? They don't know that they don't know. And then when someone introduces that concept to them, it opens up their periphery broadly and deeply, and then that leads them down a different path of possibilities and transformation. Dreama, Abba Namaste, good to have you on. Does that make sense? So our work is being aware of the things that we don't know. So my example of going down to Florida and spending a week in Florida with my mom and my son, back at Einstein's, keeping it real as always, is the realization that a lot of the upheaval in this soul's incarnation happened in Orlando about 10 years ago. Wait, has it been? 2000... Yeah, about 10 years ago. So a lot of upheaval with my marriage, a lot of upheaval in my spiritual practice. Michael, Atma Namaste. A lot of upheaval in my you're the best. a lot of upheaval financially happened in Orlando in that 10-year period, at that 10-year mark in 2008. Krista, Abba Namaste. And so when I went down to Orlando this past week, I haven't been there for 10 years, and you can imagine Orlando is the most visited, or one of the most visited tourist destinations on the planet. I believe every year they get 50 million people that go to Orlando, right? More Abba Namaste. 50 million people, that's a lot of people just in one city throughout the year. And so they're always expanding, they're always building, they're always changing things, right? So when I went there and I was driving around the old hot spots, the place that I used to live with my ex-wife, the place I used to bring my son to daycare, the place that I used to work in selling timeshare, right? All of these triggers that triggered certain memories and certain emotions and certain programs came flooding back to me, and I realized the not knowing what I didn't know, I had no idea at that time in my life how much darkness there was. And from a spiritual perspective, when we say darkness, we mean ignorance. We mean, Daniela, Abba Namaste, we mean lack of wisdom. We mean lack of understanding, right? Because there really is no such thing as darkness. It's simply darkness is the absence of light, just like there is no such thing as cold. It's actually the absence of heat, right? So as I'm traveling around Orlando and having all these memories flooding my consciousness, all of a sudden this tremendous compassion swept over me. Compassion for myself, compassion for my ex-wife, compassion for my son, compassion for the employers who I did business with at that time in my life, because even though I was committed, even though I was a good person, even though I wanted to become a better person, there were still so many blind spots, darkness in my life. And it was a really big awakening, because you don't know what you don't know. Clara, namaste. Good to have you on as always, beautiful. Hope you're well. Happy Sunday. And it was deeply transformative for me. It was deeply healing for me. And you can kind of relate this process to forgiveness with a little twist on it. So in the world of pranic healing, we have a meditation called the forgiveness meditation, which I've used with clients and myself over the past several years. And it's very profound, and it can really heal people deeply on an emotional level when they do it consistently. And people have the perception that if they're mad at someone, Alice, Namaste, if they're mad at someone, they have to call that person up on the phone, write them a letter, send them a text message, explain to them why they're forgiving them or why that they're mad at them in order for the person to move on and to have healing. And that's not necessary. You can practice forgiveness at a distance with never interacting with that person, because some of the people you have to forgive have passed away. It could be your parents, it could be an uncle, an aunt, some kind of relative, a friend that you never had that resolution with, and you're like, they're not in the body anymore. How can I practice forgiveness? How can I move on with my life? And that's not actually true. But relating it to my trip down to Florida, seeing my mom, going to Orlando, going to Sarasota to see my son, is actually really interesting with forgiveness. And I realized how to say this clearly, that it was super therapeutic for me to actually physically go to those areas again. And I don't know why. Because I can practice forgiveness about that time in my life in Orlando or that time in my life in Sarasota, but there was something very unique about physically going to each of the locations that I went to throughout my week that I was in Florida. Gopal, Abba Namaste. Mackenzie, Abba Namaste. Akriti, Abba Namaste. Clara says she needs this right now. Hopefully you all guys need this right now. Forgiveness, letting go, forgiving oneself. And that's the big takeaway, that's the big aha, is that at that time, 10 years ago, I, the soul, Christian Long, did not know how much blindness, how much darkness, how much ignorance, how much depression, how much sadness, how much anger I was experiencing in my life. Like, it was so below my conscious awareness, but that pain, that depression, that darkness was causing me to act out in unhealthy ways, and it was negatively affecting myself, my relationship with my wife, my son, and my employers. So isn't it interesting that with awareness, as Master Chola Koksui says, without awareness there's no inner transformation. So with awareness you have inner transformation. So I remember a simple example is I went to the apartment complex that I used to live at with my ex-wife and my son. And I remember when my son was little, and him and I would go around, and I put him in his little car, and I would car him all over the place, or he'd be running around at the pool and doing things like that. And he had so much fun, but I remember that time in my life being completely and utterly burned out, exhausted, stressed out, angry, and not even really knowing why. But when I went there this time, because I'm a different person than who I was 10 years ago, the place was super bright, and it was lively, and it was like I felt very charged up because I'm a different person, right? Never been physically healthier, emotionally healthier, financially healthier, everything, right? So it was like such an aha moment for me that my son was having to experience those times with his father. So Krista says, you get to experience the manifestation of your changed state in relation to those places. Correct. Excellent. Well said, Krista. That's been my experience too. Reina, what's up? Atma Namaste. Alex said something over here. I didn't want to miss it. Hold on, guys. She says, Landmark, I did the basic and advanced courses and dropped out of the leadership course to enjoy my summer. I sparrowed so hard, I pulled the chakra. That's why you sent me that message. That makes sense. Yeah. So, oh snap. So it's very, it's a little pickle too. Who doesn't like a good pickle, right? So, I did have breakfast this morning. I'm kind of like catching up on some things. So, the takeaway I'm the seed that I'm trying to plant within each and every one of you is that you might have this, you might think that everything is going well in your life, which it most likely is, right? Because that's what practicing gratitude is, that's what practicing appreciation is, that's what counting your blessings is all about. But I want you to realize that as aware and as conscious as you might perceive yourself to be, there's always much, much, much deeper levels of awareness, much, much deeper levels of awakening that can be acquired. Because I'll give you an example. Being in the world of energy medicine and meditation, I'm usually aware of my energy body. How clean are my chakras? How clean is my aura? What kind of thoughts am I having? Are they positive thoughts? Are they negative thoughts? What kind of feelings am I feeling? Positive feelings, negative feelings? So I'm always kind of like aware of that, engaging that. But if I sit down and I do 10 or 15 minutes of healing on my solar plexus chakra or on my spleen chakra or on my spine, right? In that moment, I have a realization of, whoa, my energy body was not as clean, not as bright, and not as shiny as I perceived it to be. So 10 years ago, I didn't think I had many problems. 10 years later, looking back at that 10 years, I realized, wow, there were some amazing blind spots in my life. But I had gratitude, I had humility, because I was lucky enough and privileged enough to have pranic healing come into my life, not 10 years ago, but 14 years ago, giving me the tools, the techniques, and the methodology to apply into my life and to transform my life. But guess what? Is there a difference between knowing something and practicing the thing that you know? So you can know everything about exercise, but still not exercise. You can know everything about proper nutrition and still eat a poor diet. You can know everything about how to become enlightened and how to have inner peace and joy, but not actually apply any of those techniques into your day-to-day life. So that's where I was dropping the ball in my personal growth and development. I was doing my meditations, I was doing a little bit of service, I was doing tithing, but I wasn't doing a lot of service, I wasn't doing a lot of healing. I wasn't developing my ability to be aware. Again, without awareness, there's no inner transformation. I cannot emphasize that enough. And it doesn't matter what area of life we're talking about. Health, finances, spiritual growth and development, relationships. It doesn't matter. Your suffering is caused by your lack of awareness. Increase your awareness, decrease your suffering. It's as simple as that. Clara says, that's the greatest offense to your soul, knowing something and not practicing it. Yeah, for sure. So, knowing is in the throat chakra, right here. Knowledge is in the throat chakra. So you can know all of these things, but if you're not using every chakra and every particle of your being to do what you know, it's wasted. What's the point? Very, very important. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the hearts. I appreciate that. Hey, just out of curiosity, because I want to see what this looks like, everyone who's watching this stream right now, live, can you do the heart thing or some kind of emoji so I can see if the whole screen can get covered in love and appreciation? Love you too, Clara. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like how that shows up. Okay. Ashley's on here. A bunch of sneaky names sliding into the stream. You guys are beautiful. I love it. So, later on today, I'm going to be attending the Denver Zouk Congress, which is a weekend-long event of of people who practice the dance form Zouk over in Aurora. I bought my ticket 14 months ago. I went to 2 hours of it yesterday, and then I had to prepare for clients. So I'll have more time to go dancing today. And the event ends at 6 o'clock this morning, and then it goes into the next day. Ashley's not being sneaky. I love it. So that's kind of my takeaway from my week-long trip with my mother and my son is connecting with my mother, who is 70 years old. Her body is 70 years old. And connecting with her life situation, because we haven't seen each other physically for 4 years, and I haven't seen my son physically for 4 years. I've realized how much pain my mother is in just because of her life, her upbringing and her life experience. So it's encouraged me and inspired me to help her and to assist her and to heal her and to help move her life forward for the rest of the life that she has left. And then my son, it was beautiful to see, to interact with him and to look into his eyes. That was really, really important for me because the eyes are the windows to and of the soul. So looking into my son's eyes and to seeing the energy going in and out, it was really, really beautiful. It was really special for me. And he realizes his dad has a relatively intense stare when he focuses. But my son is much more yin than I am. You know, he's 4'11", 78 pounds, super skinny, 13, he's going to be 14 in March. Not a big kid. He didn't come from big parents, but very funny. Very funny. He's done improv since the age of 5 until this year. So 8 years he's been doing improv. Super creative. So his goal is to be a famous actor. And what kind of films? I don't know. Probably comedies because he has that delivery method down. But we'll see. He's got time to develop his skills, and as he taps into who he is, he'll get greater clarity. Yvonne, you're welcome for the reminder. So, that being said, if there's something I can assist you guys with in developing your awareness so you can transform from the inside out and to know things that you don't know, go to christianarlong.com/services, christianarlong.com/services, and schedule a healing session with me. And I'm letting you know the sole reason as to why I'm back in my son's life is because of healing. I'll say that again. The sole reason as to why I'm back in my son's life is because of healing. So do you think I'm a big proponent of energy healing and meditation and practical spirituality? Unequivocally. So, love you guys very much. Thank you for sharing your time and energy with me. Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of myself and my time and energy with you guys and stories that I'm out and about. I wish I could share more, but I have to keep somewhat of a professional arrangement with you guys. I can't let all the cats out of the bag. So, again, if you're in need of healing, go to christianarlong.com/services. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, the rest of your weekend. Hope you had a great weekend, the rest of this weekend. Thanks, Claire. I love you, girl. And I hope your week is amazing. And I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you very soon. This is Christian R. Long, Life Enhancement Consultant, wishing you a beautiful day, week, and life. And I'm going to get to my sandwich. Hey, Kate. Hopefully you can watch the replay. Lots of love. Atma, namaste. Bye-bye.